Have you ever wondered, how did the months of the year get their names? The months' names reflect a mix of gods, goddesses, rulers, and numbers. Discover how our calendar developed into what it is today. The ancient Roman calendar. Today, we follow the Gregorian calendar, but it's based on the ancient Roman calendar, believed to be invented by Romulus, who served as the first king of Rome around 753 BC. The Roman calendar, a complicated lunar calendar, had 12 months like our current calendar, but only 10 of the months had formal names. Basically, winter was a dead period when the government and military weren't active, so they only had names for the time we think of as March through December. March, Martius, was named for Mars, the god of war, because this was the month when active military campaigns resumed. May, Maius, and June, Junius, were also named for goddesses Maia and Juno. April, Aprilis, is thought to stem from the Latin aprio, meaning to open, a reference to the opening buds of springtime.
The rest of the months were numbered. Their original names in Latin meant the 5th quintilis, 6th sextilis, 7th September, 8th October, 9th November, and 10th December month. Eventually, January Januarius and February Februarius were added to the end of the year, giving all 12 months proper names. When Julius Caesar became Pontifex Maximus, he reformed the Roman calendar so that the 12 months were based on Earth's revolutions around the sun. It was a solar calendar, as we have today. January and February were moved to the front of the year, and leap years were introduced to keep the calendar year lined up with the solar year. The winter months January and February remained a time of reflection, peace, new beginnings, and purification. After Caesar's death, the month Quintilis was renamed July in honor of Julius Caesar in 44 BC, and later, Sextilis was renamed August in honor of Roman Emperor Augustus in 8 BC. Of course, all the renaming and reorganizing meant that some of the months' names no longer agreed with their position in the calendar. September to December, for example. Later, emperors tried to name various months after themselves, but those changes did not outlive them. Quite a bit later, in 1582, Pope Gregory XIII introduced many reforms to the Julian calendar, as there were still some inaccuracies and adjustments to be made. Mainly, the Julian calendar had overestimated the time it took the Earth to orbit the Sun, so the Gregorian calendar shortened the calendar year from 365.25 days to 365.2425 days. This meant that the calendar could be more easily corrected by leap years and that the dates of the equinoxes and solstices and thus the date of Easter once again lined up with their observed dates. January named for the Roman god Janus, protector of gates and doorways. Janus is depicted with two faces, one looking into the past, the other into the future. In ancient Roman times, the gates of the Temple of Janus were open in times of war and closed in times of peace. February, from the Latin word februa, to cleanse the Roman calendar month of Februarius, was named Februalia, a festival of purification and atonement during this period. March named for the Roman god of war, Mars. This was the time of year to resume military campaigns interrupted by winter. March was also a time of many festivals, presumably in preparation for the campaigning season. April, from the Latin word aperio, to open bud plants begin to grow in this month. In essence, this month was viewed as spring's renewal. May named for the Roman goddess Maia, who oversaw the growth of plants, also from the Latin word maioes, elders who were celebrated during this month. Maia was considered a nurturer and an earth goddess, which may explain the connection with this springtime month. June named for the Roman goddess Juno, patroness of marriage and the well-being of women. Also, it comes from the Latin word juvenis, which means young people. July named to honor Roman dictator Julius Caesar, 100 BC 44 BC after his death. In 46 BC, Julius Caesar made one of his most significant contributions to history with the help of Sosigenes. He developed the Julian calendar, the precursor to the Gregorian calendar we use today. August named to honor the first Roman emperor and grandnephew of Julius Caesar, Augustus Caesar 63 BC AD. 14. Augustus, the first Roman emperor, comes from the Latin word Augustus meaning venerable, noble, and majestic. September comes from the Latin word septem, meaning 7 because it was the 7th month of the early Roman calendar. October in the ancient Roman calendar, October was the name of the 8th month of the year. Its name comes from octo, the Latin word for 8. When the Romans converted to a 12-month calendar, they tried to rename this month after various Roman emperors, but October's name stuck. In Old England, the month was called Winmonth, which means wine month, for this was the time of year when wine was made. The English also called it Winterfyleth, or winter full moon. They considered this full moon to be the start of winter. In weather lore, we note, if October brings heavy frosts and winds, then will January and February be mild. November from the Latin word novum. 9. This had been the 9th month of the early Roman calendar. December from the Latin word decem. 10. This had been the 10th month of the early Roman calendar. If you like this video, please share and like the video. It is a simple process and will help motivate me to make better videos. Let me know in the comments section, what other videos would you like me to make?